All right, so listen, there's a lot that happened in this episode, but a lot that didn't happen. So there's some stuff to discuss. Come back after the jump. All right, well, welcome back to the channel. My name is Kevin.
I'm Tarsha.
And this is, of course, Conversations with the Crawleys, where we have conversations all the time about faith, family relationships, and our favorite shows. And this is all about the latest episode of Put a Ring on It. And there's some stuff to discuss in this one.
You better share.
Yeah, make sure you're hitting that subscribe button, hit that like, do all that stuff that you know to do. We'll meet you in the comments. All right.
All right.
Let's jump into it. Let's talk. So it picks up, of course, and of course they're picking up where it last left off in the conversation with all the couples. And Sean begins to recognize that he's been moving out of fear, right? That's been kind of the big thing, is that he's been moving out of fear. He's has great dates, great connection, but no, I'm not going to touch that. I'm not going to dip into that, right? And so the thing we've kind of been talking about is that it doesn't help the process in some respects, because he's moving more out of, I don't want to do anything that might mess this up, instead of seeing whether this is something that he wants to pursue or not, right?
Right. Well, and also he was saying in the past, he's never been faithful,
right?
Because he allowed his emotions to dictate what he's done.
Right.
He meets someone, there's connection. Hey, then obviously we have to be physical.
Right.
So I think this is more of a maturity thing for him.
Yep.
That he's realizing that he wants to be with LaRonda more than just being emotionally attached to every woman that seems to have a connection with him.
Anyone that breathes and laughs at his jokes, I guess.
Right. I'm like, how's everybody, that, but again, it's his perspective. And if he's learning that that's not the case and that he can control himself, that's maturity. So yeah, good for him.
Yeah. I think Sean is probably the most impacted so far as growing in this.
That we can see.
That we can see, right, that they're filming, right? I think what we see, there's growth. It's slow, some things I'm like, but I think he's at least recognizing some things that need to change, or things that he's doing, right?
Right. That you can be around women and you
don't have to hit everything, right? All right.
Bless his heart.
Hey, listen. All right. So then we find out, okay, of course, there's a few dates that are happening. There's lots of second and third dates.
Correct.
Alexia is the only one that does not have a date. She's just kind of focusing on herself, and she's going to need to focus on herself a lot.
Right.
And then, of course, you all know that Darian has been assigned to give Kai some closure.
Yeah, you can give closure.
Yeah.
All right. Say that to the end, which they did.
And so she did give him an assignment. Dr. Nicole gave him an assignment, which was to examine their vision of marriage.
Yeah.
Which I think is a great thing.
That's an awesome thing.
Begin to think about, what is it that you want out of marriage? Why, if you're pressed to be married, what is it that marriage is going to do for you, right? In one of the fields that I've worked in, we're always asking the question, what is this going to do for you, right?
Right.
So what is marriage going to do for you? What is it going to help you accomplish that you're not accomplishing? And what does that look like?
Well, and also about how do you match your vision?
Right.
There has to be life goals. Like there's things you want to accomplish. And so how does that work together? People are so focused on the wedding, as Dr. Nicole says. They're so focused on the wedding and I'm getting married. That means I'm going to have a partner. That means I'm not going to be alone anymore. That's not true. You could be married
and be completely alone.
So how do you come together as a partner? Now you're a team. What is our team goals? What are we focusing on to move forward with?
Right.
That's what helps keep commitment when you know there's an essential goal.
Right. And it doesn't mean that you're giving yourself up completely where you have no identity outside of the marriage, but it does mean that what is it that we together are looking to accomplish? What is the things that we're going to put our energy and our effort towards, and how is our marriage going to look for us? Because marriage for one couple may look differently than marriage for another couple.
That's why you ask questions of like, if I'm a type of person who likes to do a lot of volunteering, but you just likes to give to organizations, then our goals don't match.
Right.
Then maybe that's not a person you want to marry because you're like being, in the trenches while someone else likes to, maybe financially give and do other things. So that's when you're talking about, matching together, you don't lose yourself,
right?
But you have to be doing things that you agree on.
And not necessarily even that you fully agree on that you have to do them the same way, but you have to have those things and know what your deal breakers are, right? In other words, if there are things that I like to do that you don't like to do, it doesn't mean that that's automatically a deal breaker that we have to, do the same things together. Because there are things that I enjoy that you don't enjoy, but they are not deal breakers. You have to also identify your deal breakers. And so when we're talking about a vision of marriage, I think incumbent upon that is, what are the deal breakers? What are the things, if you're looking and seeing your marriage looking this way, and the other person is saying, I see the marriage looking that way, and some of those things are deal breakers for you, then that's good to know up front, rather than you get into the marriage thinking that everything is going to be hunky-dory after you get married, and all of a sudden you find out, oh, yeah, you're not what I thought.
Right, because Darian and Alexis, they have that conversation, right? And she knew him for 14 years, and she didn't know that the grandparents who raised him had a very volatile marriage.
Right.
I'm like, that never came up in 14 years when you were talking about getting married and when he tried to express about marriage. So she thought he had a really good example, at least one good example of marriage, and finding out he didn't.
Yeah. So that for him, that's a key thing, is that he's never had a good example of what a marriage looks like, what a good marriage looks like. He's seen it looks like trauma. He's seen it looks like infidelity, all those type of things within the relationships that he saw. So for him to try and now build something that he's not seen is difficult, right? And we'll get into that. One thing I did want to bring up, and I did, let me know what you think, because when, if you watch the body language of the couples, it was very interesting to look at the body language of the couples as they were sitting there with Dr. Nicole. Jessica was just all up on Eric. I mean, she's just like, everything is on Eric, and Eric's just sitting there, right?
Oh, when they started talking about what their assignment was about marriage, she huddled up. I call it. She huddled up.
But it was just like, okay, she is like, he's almost wearing her like a suit coat, because she's just like all over.
Yeah.
LaRonda and Sean were a little more balanced. They were in their own space. They were connected, but they were in their own space, right? But Alexia and Darian were like, almost like they were two different people, not even, they were just sitting there, but it was just like there was no connection, physical connection. So the body language to me was just a little something that caught my attention.
No, they look like a 14-year-old couple. 14 years.
Get you. All right. So anyway, wow. So Eric and Jessica, they're talking, right? And he keeps making statements that she jumps to the next step with. She jumps to the next conclusion with. Like he's saying, he's, as far as talking about his date, he's saying, wanting and ready to get out the house. She's like, oh, so you want to get away from me? So it's like, okay, let the man say what he's saying and stop jumping to the next.
That's true.
Right?
She did that a lot.
And I think that's part of the problem, because he's like, she doesn't listen to me. That's one of his complaints, is that she doesn't listen to me.
Yeah.
So it's like she hears and interprets based upon her own insecurities, her own feelings. And so that's definitely something I think to be watched. And then Eric does go on his next date with, I forgot the young lady's name.
Yes, but even in that, Jessica was a little petty. She came to the door. Come on up.
Who has shot glasses with their picture on it or whatever?
Yeah, she had herself on a bathing suit. I was like, I'm not drinking out of this. I don't know what a little voodoo, whatever thing this is. I'm drinking out of you. No, I'm not. Either you give me a different shot glass, or I'm not having a shot.
Yeah.
Because I'm not drinking out of nothing out of you. And I've never seen that before. You got to get that made.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah. So yes, Jessica's being extremely petty.
Right.
Her and Eric, they've been petty before, right? They're petty, period, right? But she was just being extremely petty with the young lady, Leilani, that was her name.
Lonnie, yes.
That came.
Yes. Which goes into the fact where Jessica had her own session with Dr. Nicole. And Dr. Nicole kind of brought those things out. Like, where is this coming from?
Right.
And again, I don't know her ethnicity background, but when you tend to be a minority and you could be, Hispanic, Black, or whatever, you are teased about your skin. It's like you get colorism, you get everything. So she talks about being defensive and always had a wall since a child.
Right.
And that kind of breaks her down, because again, you have to realize your childhood traumas, no matter if it comes from home, from school, you are affected by that, even as you try to push into adulthood.
It impacts you in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So they were unpacking that, and she became, I think she kind of opened up.
Yeah. So she does, so Eric does go on his date with Leilani. And when I tell you that the chemistry and touching and everything was on 10.5.
Oh yeah, they were sexually attracted.
They were, yeah. And she was making no mistake about the fact that she was feeling him.
Right.
And he asked kind of, how did you feel about meeting Jessica, whatever. She was like, I don't entertain pettiness.
Right.
Hey.
Keep it classy.
And I think that's something for Eric. He's like, is he wanting someone that is going to be petty or confidence? Because I think one of the things that you were looking at with them is that she has this fear of him always stepping out, always cheating, even though she was the one who a week after they broke up was with another athlete, right?
Right.
So he has to make this determination of whether or not he wants someone that is going to be petty because they're insecure, or someone who's going to be confident in who they are and just be what they, who they are.
Because again, this talks about the cycle that Dr. Nicole mentioned. When you put yourself in that cycle where we're going back and forth, right? Especially when you're an athlete,
right? And
you're like, okay, I love competition. So at first, this might have been fun,
right? But
now you're in a longer term relationship. You want to have a place where you relax, where you don't feel like you're competing with your partner all the time.
Yeah. And Sean goes out on his date with Tari.
Yes.
They did yoga last week, right?
Right. And so this week they were eating.
They had a little meal, whatever.
Yeah.
And there's chemistry there, but I think Sean is still, of course, because he's making sure he learns this new way of living, if you will, right?
Yeah.
Communicating. Still stays above board, but you can see that there's some chemistry there. There's a connection there.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that she said, because he asked a great question, because we are often talking about the couples that are on Put a Ring on It, right? And then these people that are coming on these dates, he asked the question, what made you want to do something like this experience? Because they come into it knowing that the person that they're seeing is in a long-term relationship, right? And she says she wanted to do the experience to get honesty and from an honest place of meeting a person who she already knows is in a relationship.
Right.
Because I guess, it's Atlanta, right?
Right.
So she's like, look, I'd rather know up front that you got somebody else and I'm competing with that than thinking that I'm the only person and that finding out you got a baby mom or you got a wife or you got whatever.
Right. Which I was like, that makes sense.
Makes a lot of sense.
Everybody wants an option. And I'd rather you be honest and saying, I'm dating multiple people.
Right.
And then let them choose. But when you leave them powerless.
Right.
And then they have to find out, it's just like, okay, you're a liar.
Yeah.
I need to move on.
Yeah. So then Dr. Nicole does something that she meets with all the guys. So all the guys have a little session.
Which is different.
It's a little different this season, right? Again, they've been making things different, a few different things from last season, right? So she meets with just the guys, and Sean talks about how he can be very emotional in this process and everything.
Just emotional, period.
Yeah. So it was a good conversation with the guys. Darian and again, the editors and producers of the show do a great job of forecasting and putting things out there that you know are going to come up a little later, right? So Darian talks about, he still wants to work on it. He doesn't necessarily want to feel like, he has to get married after the show is over. He still wants to work on it and not break up. And Dr. Nicole asked basically, well, maybe you're stuck because maybe this isn't it. You've been going around this thing for 14 years. At some point, you got to get out the cycle, whether you break the cycle by moving forward or breaking up. And so he says something that he's acknowledges that he's been comfortable with being stagnant in their relationship.
That's what the whole show is about.
Yeah.
And that Alexia, right?
Alexia.
That she has the right to say, after this experience,
I don't want you.
I don't want to be on the rat race or on this hamster wheel anymore with you. If this is not going to bring us to a place where you realize that we are made to be together and have a committed relationship, because on her end, she has seen an opportunity of marriages working well. And she says, I want that at the end. After 14 years, that's a long time. And I've seen how other couples, they live together 5-7 years and then they break up. So
yeah, and it's the thing that really makes it interesting is that they've been 14 years, and yes, it has been off and on because he's got at least 2 kids, I think, right? Yes. So that means that there are at least 2 other women involved, or at least one other woman involved with him at some point, right? So for her, it is, do I want to continue this cycle and risk another 14 years of not commitment, but then being bonus mom to 2 more kids, right? So that's it, because if we're talking a cycle, right? So for Alexia, that's really why this is crucial for her, right? It's a little different, I think, 14 years versus 2 years.
Oh, definitely.
Right.
Oh, definitely. The other couples are only 2 or 3 years. Yeah.
Right. So there's still a little time before it becomes, this is a crucial conversation, right? But for Alexia and Darian, this is a crucial moment that really decisions, I believe, need to be made, and definitive decisions need to be made at the end of this.
Why? Because she desires to be married. Now, if they just desire to cohabitate and be a couple, then they wouldn't be on the show. Then it'll be fine because that's what they want. She desires to be married in a committed relationship.
She wants that commitment.
And she's like, it's more than just being boyfriend and girlfriend.
Yeah.
And so I think she's right. And it's not, at this point, it's not being pushy or demanding or trying to be controlling. It's, you want to be, I have a different mindset.
It's, what are we doing here?
Right.
It's what are we doing?
Right.
That's what I think is. She's like, what in the world are we doing? We've been going around this thing for 14 years. Let's make up our minds. What are we doing? So, and yes, that is different than the other. Well, we just reconciled 6 weeks ago, but I want to be married, so I'm going to pressure you to be married. Right. So then the moment we've all been waiting for. The reason you clicked on this video, the reason you were looking for, put a ring on it and said, what happened on this latest episode? So Darian, of course, completes his assignment of going to meet with Kai to foreclosure, right? Because he had made the decision, I don't want to touch Pandora's box. I don't want to open up Pandora's box anymore. Gotcha. When she comes in that room,
she was cold as ice. He looking for a hug. She said, oh, not on TV. She was like, hold her hand like, as I go to, she did say, I'm gonna eat this meal though. She just wasn't gonna talk to him. She was like, I'm gonna have my soup. I'm gonna get my money's worth. I'm gonna have my drink.
She got the notification, the phone call, whatever, that he wanted to meet. She's like, cool, I'm choosing violence today. She got up that morning, was like, it's going to be a violent day because I'm going to say what I need to say. And so God. He had ghosted her for about a week. So the last time
it was 10 days.
10 days, right? That's right. She
said that
10 days.
Several times.
Yeah. She was
it
like,
took 10 days?
Yep.
10 days.
So he's talking about how, I don't want to, I want to focus on my girl. It's not fair to her. Da-da-da.
I needed time. I needed time. You know, I had to get my stuff right. Had to make, you know, decisions, and I wanted to spend time with my woman. And
She's like, I hear that, but what about my feelings?
Right.
What about how I was feeling?
Right.
And by the way, you wasn't saying that when we were sleeping together.
And you were getting off on your own.
She's like, you couldn't get away. You couldn't get a moment away and call me and see how I was doing. So yeah, and he didn't deny any of it.
No, he said,
yeah, he did the. Listen.
Oh my God! First of all, there has to be a maturity. You're here to put a ring on it. Yes. You sign up to go on other dates.
Yes.
But now you made everything that Alexis said was true.
Yep.
Everyone's trying to give you a benefit of the doubt. I don't know you, dude. I'm hearing you.
I have been. You all go back and watch the previous episodes. In fact, go ahead and watch the video, the interview that we did with Dr. Nicole. I didn't know when I asked her a question about spoilers coming up. She didn't say anything about this, but she was like, "Yeah, there's some stuff coming up." Did not know this is what it was, right? Mm-hmm. But I've been trying to give Darian the benefit of the doubt.
Trying to get a brother a benefit of doubt. He's going to Dr. Nicole.
He's asking these
questions. You know, this condo where he ain't nothing going on. This is where he making his money. You know, there's nothing going on. But at the end of the day, a woman knows what a woman knows.
Intuition, yeah, she had the intuition. She was like, something ain't right.
Something ain't right.
And yes, she was saying something ain't right with the way he was moving with Kai, right? Mm-hmm. If you remember in the first few episodes, she was like, look, he's saying stuff about her I haven't heard in a while, right? So yes, we have to trust the fact that she knows this person that she's been with for 14 years, right? Just like you know me, you know how I communicate, right? So yeah, Darian, it looks like, and again, we got to this point and it was just, we were watching, we were like, oh, they're going to cut this short. So we had about maybe 8 minutes of the conversation, which means that next episode is going to be absolutely bananas.
It's going to be ridiculous. And it's like, then just let me go.
Yeah.
We talked about this. Listen, dude, if you don't want to be with me, let me know. Let me know where you at.
Right.
But don't make me out to be a fool.
And that's what Kyle was like. I'm not playing the fool in this. Now some of y'all had
She said dodo bird.
Yes.
She called him, and she says it real good.
She got that Atlanta twang on it.
Yeah.
Some of y'all in the comments were like, you thought that maybe production had already gotten notice of this, of the relationship between them and Dr. Nicole. I don't know if Dr. Nicole knew and sent with the understanding.
Maybe we can get another interview after it.
We
she knew some of the
we might see if we can get another conversation with Dr. Nicole. And now that everything would be out, we can kind of see what we may be able to go back and figure out. But this is a game changer for the relationship, right? Because even in the previews of the next episode,
they're like in grave clothes, like
he got his funeral outfit on. Like
she's in all in black. Like they are
mourning.
The relationship is about to die and be buried.
Listen,
this relationship about to go 8 feet under.
She having that waiting to exhale, setting the car on fire look on her face. She is,
She done.
She done. She over and done with. She's, So let us know in the comments what your thoughts are, if there's some things that we missed. But listen,
this is gonna be a riot. Like everybody gonna be at the condo. All the women gonna be at the condo.
She need to get the receipt and make sure that the condo was sold, right? But he might not need to sell it.
Oh, he might need selling. It's okay. He has to live there now.
He need a place to stay now.
He got a place to stay.
Yeah.
Bro.
All right, so you know what to do. Hit us up in the comments. Let us know your thoughts. Let us know what we might have missed. We want to hear what you think. And then make sure, again, you're hitting that subscribe button, liking and sharing. And then, of course, also hit us up on our IG page. The new IG is there, Conversations with the Crawleys. And we also have a Facebook page as well. Anything else?
No.
All right.
Hey, subscribe, like, share, follow.
All that fun stuff. All right, we'll see you next time. Be blessed.
Bye.
Have a great one.